Hey guys! It feels weird even though it's only been 2 days since I've posted, but I'm still alive if anybody was wondering, which 2 days isn't that long, but I usually post during the week so it feels weird. As you guys know, I was doing the class for my work last week and I was supposed to take the test on Friday. I did take the test, and so this video is kind of talking about failure. Essentially, this test, it's obviously not the most difficult test in the entire world, but it's known for being pretty challenging. And to put everything on top of that, I have testing anxiety, especially when it comes to multiple choice. If you had fill in the blank, or if it was something where you just asked me a question, I'm really good with that kind of stuff. Obviously, well, maybe it's not obvious, but I'm really good at writing answers and also doing essay questions. But when it comes to multiple choice, there's just something about it. I can know the answer, and it's not always the case, but I do not do well with multiple choice. So anyways, I failed the first time I took it. On Friday, I took it at 9 a.m. and I failed the test. And I felt really bad, not just because I failed the test. I didn't really care what people thought, because I know that it's not the easiest exam, and I was off by I think 4 points, so I was very close to passing. And even the test, distributor, because the place that I went to was a place that has I think they test, I heard someone say 500 different exams, and I don't know if that's true or not, but the test distributor, she doesn't know, she obviously doesn't know all of the exams, and they just distribute the test. She said that it is in the top 5 for being one of the hardest exams that they have, and because I started to cry after my exam, and I feel like I'm gonna cry right now too. I just felt like I let down my company that I work for, because they paid for the class, which I really felt like I learned a lot from that class. A lot of people, they remember the stuff for the test and then they forget everything afterwards. I really felt like I learned a ton, and I still remember so many things, but I still failed, and I was kind of hysterical. Well, not hysterical, but I was crying, and I just told her, I just feel really bad because they paid for me to be here. I got paid for doing it. It was I went to work, all of those things, and I just really, really felt bad. And they paid for the test, and the test wasn't super expensive, but it still was, a good amount of money, and I just felt like a failure. I felt like, there's people in my office that have passed it the first time, and I know there's also people that haven't passed it the first time. Some people, it took them several times to pass the exam, but I just really felt pressure because I had been working at this company for a while. Well, not a while, but since late July, and the fact that I failed, I just felt like I should know this. I should do it, even though all of this stuff was new information to me, and most of the stuff I had never heard of before or just didn't know, because I had never been trained like that at my job so far. But yeah, so I felt really bad, and I started to cry, and the person was consulting me. And she's like, you were so close to passing it. You're gonna get it next time. Just come in a little while and take it again. And the lady was super sweet. Everybody at the testing center was super sweet. And I just went on, and, on my way home from the exam, I was crying half the way. And then something just, struck me, while I was driving and I was crying. It struck me as, kind of, I don't know if you guys have ever felt this way, probably, but I just felt this sense of resilience. I was like, you failed this time, but you're gonna pass it next time. You're going to pass it next time. Not everybody passes it the first time, and you're just one of those people. It doesn't mean you're dumb. It doesn't mean that, you're a failure. You just didn't pass it. You have test anxiety. You don't do well with multiple choice. Now that you've taken the test, you know what to expect, you can do this. And I essentially just picked myself back up, and after that I stopped crying, and then when I talked to other people, it kind of triggered again, because I was like, oh, I feel bad. But in that moment I picked myself up, and I'm like, you know what, I failed this. I'm gonna have to tell everybody at work that I failed. I'm gonna have to retake it. But at the end of the day, it doesn't mean that I'm lesser of a person for failing it the first time. And I think that's a good attitude to have. I probably shouldn't have cried or reacted the way I did at first, even though it wasn't I wasn't extremely crying. I did tear up, and I just choked on my words when I was talking to the person, but it was this kind of punch in the face, kind of. But I was actually pretty proud of myself for picking myself back up, and then having that positive attitude. And I think there's something to be said, because this isn't the only time that I've ever failed something, and it's not the last time that I'm gonna fail something. But it's the same thing as everything else I've talked about lately. You can't always control the things that happen to you, but you have to take responsibility of how you respond. Which I did. I reacted in a negative way at first. I just felt really ashamed of myself and guilty, for basically, I felt like I was wasting their time, my company's time. But after that, I realized, maybe I could have done X, Y, and Z, but at the end of the day, it happened. I wasn't being negligent. I wasn't intentionally trying to sabotage my test. It just happened. And I'm gonna choose to have a more positive attitude about it. And so I went off, and I was planning to go to Georgia last weekend, and I came home and packed and went off to Georgia. Still did everything that I wanted to do that weekend. I hung out with my friends. I got to see my Nana. I did everything, and I didn't let it affect my friends. I talked about it briefly with my friends, Chaz and Danielle, kind of that Friday night. I was saying, yeah, I didn't pass it, but I didn't drone on about it, and I didn't make it the focus of the night. We had a lot of fun, And of course, I didn't forget about it, but I didn't let it negatively affect me. I didn't take it out on other people. I didn't, mistreat people for having this failure. And I think sometimes people do, and I'm not saying that I've never done that before. And I think it's kind of a reaction. It's because you feel so guilty or whatever it is, or maybe it affects your ego. I don't know how you deal with failure, but I decided not to. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to have to study a little bit more. I want to take this test sooner than later. So when I get to work, on Monday, I'm just going to tell everybody, hey, or like the people that I have to tell, hey, I didn't pass it the first time. I failed it, and I started to choke up a little bit more when I got at work because I just felt, bad. It wasn't like the same as when I initially heard about the failure. But anyways, I just told them and I owned up to it. I told them, yeah, I want to take it again. I feel bad and I want to make this right. I want to correct the things that I did wrong last time. And so the reason why I didn't post on Wednesday and Thursday, yesterday, I was studying on Wednesday Halloween. This was my first Halloween that I didn't dress up, which is so weird because if you know me in person, I am obsessed with Halloween. I absolutely love Halloween. And so I'm glad that I got to go to a haunted house this year, and I'm glad that I did some fall-related activities, but it just wasn't in the cards, and I knew that I needed to focus on passing this exam. So I didn't post, I didn't talk to Frank, I didn't do really anything that night. I studied, and then I studied a little bit on Thursday. I studied before that as well, but I was really intense about those 2 days, even though that information's been going on since last week. But I really gave it my focus. And so yesterday, my exam was at 12:30, came to worked a little bit, then left for the exam, took the test. It takes 2.5 hours to take. I did it, I think, less than an hour and a half. I passed the test, came back, got my fingerprints done because I have to get a criminal background check. So for anybody that wants to know, I did have to get my fingerprints done at a place. And yeah, so now everything worked out and I passed it the second time. Again, I was nervous. I felt like, what am I gonna do if I don't pass it this time? But yesterday, what I decided to do, which was a lot different than the first time I took it, I decided, even though I still had those little negative thoughts in the back of my head, I decided I still have those thoughts, but I'm gonna override them with positive thoughts. So I just basically told myself yesterday, I prayed, I did a Hail Mary, but mostly I said to myself, like with every step that I took in my head, I said, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. I can pass this, I can pass this, I can do this. And yeah, so I took the test and I passed it. And I'm not saying that just the fact that I had a positive attitude this time going into it, that's the reason why I passed it. But I know that it surely helped. And so now I passed that exam, and I was dreading that for a while because it is kind of a big deal and I needed to do it. And unfortunately it took me 2 times, but here we are. It's less than a week later. I took the test, and yeah. So I hope you guys are able to relate to this, even if you're not taking the same exam that I took. Just with any failure, any setback, you can do it. I was also listening to Napoleon Hill, his talks that he delivered long ago on Think and Grow Rich. And he says something in one of the talks it's about changing your thoughts, and basically, regardless of however much or how many times you failed in the past, it's the belief that you can do it, or something like that. And that's basically what I feel like happened. And I think it may take you, I think it just this is just a good analogy for life, there's so many things in life that may take you a little bit longer than others, or maybe it doesn't, but maybe it's really challenging and it takes you a few times to pass or to accomplish. But you can't let negative thoughts get in the way. You have to take responsibility for your own actions afterwards, and thoughts, and the way you treat other people, because tomorrow is always another day. You can always improve. You can always make a change, even if it feels like there's no way. There's no silver lining. There is a silver lining. So I hope you guys are having a great day, and this weekend I will be with Frank, Mr. FJ himself. So if you have any questions for us, we're going to do a kind of talking about a relationship video this weekend, and so stay tuned for that. I don't know when we will post that, but if you have any questions, or you just have things that you've been wondering about, leave them in the comments below. And I hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.